Cool.
Hello.
And we are recording. Wicked.
Hello.
So, welcome to number 8. I actually remember which one it was this time. Welcome to number 8 on the XXL Coffee with a Stranger podcast with myself and the amazing Drew Spenlove.
Sure.
Today's
Big
guest,
up,
we've got
main man. Sorry.
the main side. I was going to say side
Oh.
chick. That was weird.
Okay.
That was completely going the wrong way.
Yeah, we can roll that. I'm happy to search it.
Yeah. So today's guest, we have Brandon Plumb, who is basically, I know him through the gym, but he's got a pretty interesting story. So I'm not going to try and butcher it, but let's get him in. Let's hope he's there, like Ollie.
Not pointing up to the roof.
Yeah. Oh, he's outside.
Oh,
Loving
Hello,
this.
hello.
Hey, how you
Hello.
doing, man?
Yeah, good,
Sunny
man.
Oz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, really
Wait.
good. It's nice. We've
Overcast
got,
Oz.
yeah, we've got an outsider. I say that like it's like a cult thing, but as
Well,
in,
nice thing to say.
you're outside, like
Physically outside. Yeah, might as well make the most of it, mate. Fuck.
yeah, exactly. So
I'm staying with my cousins at the moment because that's
Yeah.
the only place I can get to stay. But they've just had a baby who's only like 3 months old.
really,
So
Ooh.
sitting inside having Zoom calls is not the best for a newborn.
yeah, a little
Yeah.
teary grizzle in the background.
Yeah, fuck me. Yeah.
So Brandon, welcome to our super random Coffee with a Stranger podcast.
Tea.
Love it, boys.
Yeah, Drew's got a tea. I think I
Tea's
probably
the best.
should have gone down that route because I've got a coffee and it's almost 10:30 here.
Josh is all now going to be up till
Bloody
4
hell.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so this
Good luck,
podcast
mate.
could be a long one. Brandon, obviously my mate Drew, Brandon.
Hello.
mate.
I've given
How
a
you doing?
tiny kind of background into who you are, but for the people who obviously watch this, don't know who they are, but what like do you want to do a little intro and stuff like that? Do you want to kind of give yourself obviously who you are, what you do actually for a living and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And then also we'll kind of probably lead down the lines of obviously why you are where you are.
Why it's daytime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, early morning for me here at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Um,
Was it-
Yeah, well, I guess I'm currently a personal trainer at good old Physique Gym, which is how I know Josh. It's been a fun ride trying to start up and get this gym running like it is now. Yeah, and I've been doing that for a good year and a bit now, couple of months. But I'm currently stuck in Australia because of this quarantine situation. I was due to leave nearly. So it's been an interesting ride trying to get that sorted, trying to get back, all the frantic madness. But actually, being stuck has been pretty okay, really.
Yeah.
It's been pretty relaxed. Just because I've got family here, it's not too much of an issue. I can't work from home anyways, so it's not the biggest issue in the world. But I did come out with a little bit of savings set up, so I'm comfortable enough to be able to handle it and not have too much issues.
Yeah.
Um,
So you went out. You were meant to come back on the 27th. Yeah, I think that. Was,
yeah.
What? Obviously, when this kind of kicked off and stuff like that, what was your initial? Because you kind of flew out there when it was really, I guess it was kind of fairly new. Like there was a little bit of stuff in the UK. It wasn't really kind of the main thing that people were panicking about.
Yeah, I'd expect it to have some sort of lockdown situation, but I was hoping that I'll be able to still get home. I didn't think that air travel would be the first thing. Well, I didn't think airlines closing would be the first thing the first issue that came across. I thought basically it was a risk. I knew it was a risk when I came out here. I was expecting that it might turn for the worst, but yeah, it wasn't. I don't know. I guess I prepared for it in some respects, and Semi maybe wanted a little bit longer holiday.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. But to be fair, being here is most definitely a much better place to be than the UK, just because it's so much less severe here. It's not even in comparison, just because of population size. To be honest, have a look at well, we've got a good 66 odd million people in a space that's a quarter the size of Queensland, compared to a third less over the size of Europe. So it spread so much slower, so many less cases. They were on the ball a lot quicker than we were, I think. So it's actually been pretty much fine. Like, I mean,
Yeah. And
You wouldn't want to come back, would you?
yeah, I think that's it.
Why would you want to come back?
Yeah. Well, it's funny that because the original reason why I flew out here was I booked it to look for work, and this was about 6-7 months ago that I booked the flights. So that's the whole reason why I continue to go anyways, because I've booked them, they're set, I can't change them. Might as well just have a good ride with it. And actually coming out and being here for this period of time has made me realize I don't particularly want to live here, even though I always thought that I would have wanted to anyways. There's an interesting insight to actually have some time to actually to stick around.
Yeah. And do you think the kind of, like you said, it's kind of spread slower? Is it? Well, I've never been to Australia, so I can't really talk through facts and stuff like that. But just the due distance between cities and things like that, like it's the chance of it spreading. You know, it may kind of pool around one city, and then it's kind of very not really going to disperse out into kind of a bit like America. You can see obviously the states, you can drive from each one. Obviously I know you can do that in Australia, but it could be a couple of days trip rather than 4 hours or something.
The transport links are pretty poor in comparison. It's a big distance to cover. I mean, to put just a picture, like you can fit the entire of Europe in the landmass of Australia, so it's a huge space. And the not many trains knocking about. You can't like unlike us, we can get from the southern point of England all the way up to Scotland with relative ease. Or there's a bus you can take that goes the whole way. There are large parts of Australia that are just completely disconnected except for flights. So it's going to be
imagine
difficult
sitting
to
on
get
a
people
bus
around.
from London to Scotland. Oh.
Yeah, it'd be miserable. Jesus.
How long does it take to get to Scotland in a car? What, 4 or 5 hours maybe? 5?
Oh, mate, more like 7.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So
Depends
in a
on
bus,
choice.
what's that? 10, 12?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
It's mad,
Yeah,
isn't
fuck
it?
that.
Absolutely mad. So what's kind of
worse.
been the general feel out there? Like, is there been, like, obviously I know you guys were saying like kind of you locked down pretty quick, which is really good. And I think there was that whole kind of, you come into the country, you quarantine straight away for 14 days. We obviously missed a massive boat on that since 18 million came in.
We're only doing that now. Is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, Drew. Like, so what do you think? Do you think it's kind of that they just got their ducks in a row very quickly, or do you think that there's still quite a, 2 meters distance, social distancing? They've got a lot more worry and panic around it, or is it that they're just very good at doing what they do?
To be honest, I think they're quite good at what they do. To be honest, like if you have a look at especially the history in Australia, is whenever there's been a massive, whether it's a war-based thing, whether a perfect example is like when they had their mass shootings. They had one in their whole history, and then they said, "That's fucking it. You guys don't deserve to have guns. Everyone loses them." So they took the same tactic here. Like, we've got a pandemic, everyone inside, cut it all out. Travel down, quarantine set in, and they just set it in with no questions asked, which is it's efficient. At least it gives you time to assess the situation a little bit, rather than let it pan out and watch the hospitals fill, and then you're stuck working backwards. Yeah, they always kind of try and get themselves on the front foot.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Literally, now the point there is like we're working backwards, and you guys are kind of still walking forwards.
Yeah. So look at opening up restrictions. I think this week. Yeah. So they're going to open stuff up a little bit more. Like all the non-essential businesses opened last week, so they had like shopping centres that open and things like that. But even with stuff opening up again, I think in the UK is going to be a big problem. Like I heard you guys. I listened to a couple of your previous podcasts with other people and everyone talking about with it opening and the second wave. And to be fair, once it opens, because everyone's desperate to get out of the house, there's a whole issues with mental health around people being stuck inside and all that type of thing. But this second wave, I think, is going to come in hot and heavy when everything opens up again. Because the first thing people will do is go back to normal life. which is not the best
rather than
idea.
a restriction.
Yeah, exactly. Just be logical about it. You've seen what it can do and what it's capable of. Just taking a bit of initiative into your own hands and steer clear of the other humans.
Yeah. So just hold the pole out and make sure you're not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So with like you said, obviously out there, like you're kind of like lifting the restrictions. What was like? What was it like being in essentially kind of locked down there? Like, could you go out? Was it kind of policed heavy, or like what? What was the kind of feel behind it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're allowed to leave to go and do essential shopping, and that type of thing. And you're allowed for meant to be out once a day for exercise. All the parks were closed. Originally, they had the beaches still open. And again, it took one day and the beaches were full, rammed to the absolute pack, like shoulder to shoulder. And then good old ScoMo, the Prime Minister said, "That's it. Can't trust you peeps. Cut that all out." But it was, you had a lot of freedom. And luckily being in Brisbane is that it's not like dense populated city. It's spread over a massive area. So it just means that you can move around pretty freely. Most of it's like suburbia. So you're not just stuck inside an apartment or a flat. You can at least get out, move around, get some sun in. Thank God. If I came out here with no sun, I'd be bloody miserable.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Do you, like when you go shopping? So, like for instance, when me and Drew, if we're going to Tesco, other supermarkets are available.
That's not many my line.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to come in. And like you generally have to like, well, depending now, it's not so much like I think the kind of rules are relaxed a little bit, but like we would have to queue up kind of 2 meters distance between each other, and then even moving around the supermarket, you've still got that kind of there's kind of like a mutual respect of everyone. So do you have that out there, like when you're shopping, or is there kind of any restrictions, like real restrictions, or any kind of food halls?
Yeah, it was very, very, very similar. They're the same panic buying thing, all that type of stuff. Because originally the thought out here with the whole, I'll go back to that. But they just restricted the amount of people you're allowed in the shop straight out. They said per square meter you're allowed a certain amount of people, and that was it. And so they just had to like flick buttons and count people up as they came in. So there were queues outside exactly the same, big social distancing and bits and bobs like that. But the panic buying was absolute carnage. But as I've been seeing over there, yeah, very, very similar. Because I mean, the whole toilet paper panic buying thing was hilarious. Because out here, they thought that all their toilet paper was made in China. So they thought that they wouldn't be able to get any toilet paper. So that was why they were panic buying, as opposed to, if we run out, then we've got no one to wipe our asses with.
Yeah.
Which was bloody hilarious because it's not. It's made in Australia.
Yeah. Is it like, me and Drew laugh quite a lot about like some of the things that you see people do. Like we were talking to a guy, Kieran, obviously, well, you know Kieran. And he was saying that, you know, flour was a big thing that people were going panic buying. But it kind of shows like other sides to like the density of the population. Not density as in numbers, as in mindset. Is there like, because this is the thing that I find is quite funny. You probably got it out there. I don't know how many people you kind of bumped into and talked to, but like everyone's the expert, which I find fascinating. Like, it's such an interesting.
Everyone has their opinion, and they're always going to think that's the right opinion, aren't they?
Yeah. It's a British
especially
thing.
when you're well, especially when you're restricted like this. I think when you're not hanging around and talking to friends the whole time, you don't get a varied opinion. You get the news, and it depends what news site you use massively on what actually information you get.
Yeah.
So most people's opinions are usually not correct.
Yeah, and they're trying to relay, I guess, like information, which essentially they probably might miss a key point or a key number that suddenly becomes a bit skewed.
And it was moving so fast, so a lot of the data people are getting is not always correct because it's just every day there was something new.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the purchases, I mean, it's the similar kind of things. every single thing in the baking aisle was gone. Like all canned food was gone. Toilet paper and what was the weird one? Washing up powder and like fabric softener.
Okay.
Which is a rogue one.
Yeah. I think
like it's
I
all
think
these
we're right.
All these actual non-essential things people are going for. It's like the luxuries that we're used to living with.
Yeah.
But people just want to hoard up. You don't want to lose that sense.
Yeah.
I think I'm sure you guys probably agree. The last thing you'd be buying is toilet paper if it was truly.
I think there's some varied opinion, but I'm kind of saying get in the shower. You know what? That's what a bidet's for. Not that I can imagine the population's got a bidet, but I think Drew agrees with this one.
We've been cleaning our asses for thousands of years without toilet paper. We can manage now.
I don't know. I could just imagine like getting that 4-year-old vest that doesn't fit anymore and just using that because you've got nothing else to use.
Just rags. Clothing becoming rags.
Get to the bottom,
God.
Of your clothing drawer that you never use anymore and just pulling out things that you haven't seen in 6 years and
just the shower mat. You can get another one.
Whatever. Do you reckon you get any kind of material like Drew said, like the old tops? Just get a pair of scissors and just straight just cutting into sheets.
Yeah. Just sew it together. You can roll it.
This is Dragon's Den. This is
ideas for the world.
Get on it.
Millionaires are made in a pandemic.
Just go to your local clothes drop off for the chat. I don't know what they're called. What are they called?
Yeah, they're
those little charity drop things.
Yeah.
There'll be queues at there.
These people don't need it. I'm more important.
Desperate times.
My arse needs it.
So, Brandon, we've obviously like you're saying, the kind of plan to kind of almost worked in your favour to staying out there. What was kind of like your thought process? Obviously, when they were like, right, we're locking down, did you think, okay, this is a problem? Like, how am I going to get back? Or kind of, what did you have anything kind of? I know you got a text message, I think, saying that someone on your flight like tested positive. I'm sure I remember seeing a story.
Yeah.
Did that come from the government, or did you get anything from the government saying, "Look, we're going to get you home"? Text yes or text no. Stop these messages.
No, it was very weird. So I flew out to Brisbane first and spent a week there, and I was due to I flew to Perth to spend a week with another mate. And then I was meant to fly to Melbourne to meet some friends who had been traveling out here. And that was when it all started to kick off and things started to close down. And that's when they were going to issue the 14-day quarantine thing, and they were going to close all the states, so you couldn't travel in between them. And so I had to make a decision whether to fly to Melbourne and stay there with the peeps I was going to stay with, or to either try and fly home or fly to Brisbane and then try and connect a flight. And actually, my friends were coming from New Zealand, and so they weren't able to get in because they introduced that 14-day quarantine.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of random panic, and I had about 2 days to sort it out. I literally just called up, booked a flight back to Brisbane, got back there because at least I've got family here. So at least I've got a place to stay for extended periods. If I was stuck in Melbourne now, it'd be absolute carnage. With it being an Airbnb and just having to keep bumping it up the whole time.
Yeah.
Cost a bloody fortune. But yeah, I got that text message while I was back in Brisbane. It was actually, I think I got an email saying that someone on my flight, on the Etihad flight that I took through Abu Dhabi, tested positive for coronavirus coming into Australia, which is a little bit of a panic.
Yeah.
And I was going to go and get tested, but all I did is just self-quarantine myself. So obviously, since my cousin has literally a newborn baby, I was like, I do not want any of that, just in case I do have it. But it also shows the how quickly the spread of infection can happen.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know for 2.5 weeks before I found out, or before they can inform me. And so I bumped in and met so many people. I played a game of rugby in Perth I bloody went out in Brisbane, so they would have brushed shoulders with like hundreds, maybe possibly like thousands of people in that time period.
Yeah.
And see how quickly it could possibly spread. But it turns out I was absolutely fine. To be honest, I think I might have actually got it in January.
Okay.
While we were in the UK, because as they started to come up with
Actually,
more
yeah,
of the
you
symptoms
came down
as well.
pretty bad. I remember
Yeah,
that.
Jesus. Yeah, I got like I thought it was just flu. Went to the doctors. They said it was just flu, and I was like, I promise you, this doesn't feel like flu.
Yeah.
But it was awful, man. I lost like 9 kilos in 4 days. I could barely
Sounds
stand up. I
perfect.
was exhausted. Yeah. Get me some of that. Honestly, right now I could probably do with a little bit of that. But
Sorry,
man, it was awful. I was like running out of breath going down the stairs and up the stairs. I'd have to stop midway through.
Yeah.
Losing balance was a weird thing. Lost sense of smell, sense of taste. Lost the heaps of stuff. It was pretty bloody exhausting.
Yeah.
And
I feel like there's a lot of symptoms that go under the carpet in there, and I've definitely heard that taste one a lot.
Yeah.
People
But especially if I've had the flu before, and it just was nothing like this. The level of exhaustion was crazy. Like I honestly thought I was just gonna have to kick the bucket from that point. Because the only thing that's what worried me the most, especially with it coming to the UK, was the doctors didn't have tests. Well, obviously no one really had tests for it, but no one was looking to try and test for it any further. No one was taking bloods. No one was doing anything like that. So I was just said, okay, well, if you've still got it in 2 weeks, then come back.
Yeah.
I'll be dead by then. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Drew's right. Like with that loss of smell, I'm pretty sure was it because it was something to do with like the age of you, like younger people losing their sense of smell and stuff, and it was almost like that was something that was kind of swaying more to if you're younger and you might have it or you're like asymptomatic or something like that. That was something to look out for.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. But...
I could be butchering that completely. I could be making things
I reckon
up.
that's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
but because
Made
of
that up on the spot, ain't ya?
Dr. John.
Yeah.
Dr. Eastham, we'll see you now.
Really, just the janitor.
Spin-off podcast coming in now. Yeah, just because I felt like I'd had it before, I was not worried really about getting it again. Even though there's been cases of some people getting it again, but I think it's something where it hadn't fully taken into the immune system at that point. So it still had it. It was just lower level of symptoms.
So did you get anything from the government basically saying we want you home, like, or how to get home? Because I know like some people were looking at flights and it was like 10 grand, and it was like just to get you halfway.
Yeah. It was absolute carnage, to be honest. I called like the High Commission in Australia, the British High Commission, to try and get some sort of information about stuff, and they were like, "Look, we don't have time to worry about getting people home unless you're ill. So that's the only thing we're dealing with, is if you're at risk being out here.
Yeah.
Then we'll try and help you out as much as we can." But they were meant to. They said the promise they were going to charter flights. But I think also because in the UK it's absolute carnage. Most people weren't worrying about that. And so there was basically no support to get home, except for they'd give you information, but a lot of the time it wouldn't be accurate because the airlines were closing down separately, obviously from they're not government funded, so you couldn't really track that as easily. But it was all, I was trying to get help and there wasn't very much at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've called them a number of times. It's obviously difficult to get through. The lines are going to be busy, fully understandable. Even when you get through, there was just nothing. There was no information, no data, really. So I tried to book flights. I tried to change my flights, tried to move them, but most of them were just getting cancelled. I booked 3 flights home over that last week and couldn't get any. So my original flight got cancelled. I booked two others and they both got cancelled. Because the airlines actually just closed up shop. The Qantas, the Qantas? Yeah. No, Virgin Australia. They closed their doors, and went under while I was out here, so I couldn't actually connect anywhere.
I was going to
The
say,
hardest bits I couldn't get to Sydney or to elsewhere.
yeah, because am I right in saying that Virgin Australia is like their main kind of airline that interlinks all the?
Yeah, they've got a
City.
couple of like budget ones similar to similar to like our Ryanair, yeah, SleazyJet, all those. But those are the only ones that were running. But even then, they were cancelling flights. Yeah. They were cancelling flights all over the place.
I've an EasyJet flight. They're great. I've been on multiple EasyJet flights, and they've probably been better than like someone else done.
To be fair,
I do rate
since they updated their planes, it's all right actually. It's not bad.
I mean, I can't see the point in Ryanair and charging to go on the toilet. I think that's a bit crazy.
Do they do that? I've never been.
That was a thing, wasn't it?
Really?
I know it was coming in.
That was a thing.
Ryanair,
I don't think they do.
about
I'm assuming they can't do it now.
Yeah,
They don't do it now. But there was a point in time they were charging people on the plane to use the toilet.
That's fucking nuts. I
remember hearing that.
Just let it out on the floor, blame them, but I'm so sorry. I can't afford this. I just don't put me under this kind of pressure.
Oh dear.
I booked just 30 quid return for a reason.
Throwing up, weird, everything. I can't deal with it.
Dude, wasn't the head of Ryanair looking at trying to get standing tickets on planes so they can fit more people in?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's like going on, what's the standing roller coaster at Drayton Manor? It was like,
oh fuck.
I'm not sure you can really compare the two, but it's got a 4-hour flight to Lanzarote. I don't know what you're on about. It's just like being the ride at Drayton Manor.
Yeah, that would be horrendous, eh?
Oh, yeah, imagine the turbulence, the carnage.
Yeah.
Yeah, could you imagine?
So, what's the kind of plan for you now?
They could be able to tell everyone, please take your seat.
You'd all like to stand and just shuffle
on the floor, in the aisle.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. What's the plan for you now in terms of time frames? Like, is it? I mean, how long do you reckon? It's kind of hard to say. Like, how long do you reckon this is going to go on for? But like, is there a point in time where you think, look, now's going to be the time that I'm safe to get back, or is it just sitting tight and just keep going?
Yeah, the main plan is literally just to get home as soon as possible. So I finally got a flight booked for the 5th of June. So it's basically fingers crossed that one of those airlines or Doha doesn't decide to shut its borders off.
Yeah.
So at least I can connect through. So that's all booked and done. So thank God for that. But again, I was trying to get flights in May. And every single time I was looking at flights online, they were just soaring in price. I would look at it, click to book it, check to make sure that it would all work, make sure if they're connecting countries would allow me through. And by the time I've done that, it would have jumped up to like 10 grand pounds, which is just crazy. Absolutely insane. So even my flight back cost me more than my return here.
Wow.
Which is nuts. But yeah, so it's just the plan to get back as soon as possible because it's just safer to be home. At least then I've got a guaranteed place to stay. I'm not intruding. At least I can work. It's a big thing. Even if we're doing something online or doing something elsewhere, then at least I can work. Yeah, so that's basically the plan. So I'm just waiting out for the next 3 weeks before I can get back home.
Yeah. And do you think like Australia is kind of going to be pretty much locked down until the vaccine comes around, like super strict, or do you think that they'll start allowing people to travel as long as you kind of got that safety or maybe a test done?
I think they'll restrict travel for the longest period of time, but they've already opened up non-essential business. Okay. They're like, if you go into supermarkets now, or you go into what's it called? Shops or shopping centers now, they are rammed like to the absolute brim. So many people are about, which I'm just like, this is a fucking terrible idea. Get away from these humans. Don't know how they keep them, how they clean, like if they wash their hands properly. You don't know whether they've got it, haven't got it. It's just too much left to think about. So I'd just steer clear of them. But yeah, I think they're looking at basically just opening up the doors, because really the end goal for all countries is that herd immunity.
Yeah.
which is basically what a vaccine is.
Yeah.
If you take a vaccine, you're immune to the pathogen, so it's not too much of an issue. But until a vaccine comes around, it's basically just slowly allowing people to become immune, which causes it minimize. It's just damage control rather than anything else. But because we've just got such a high population in the UK and an aging population as well, it becomes more of an issue.
And do you think, like, what do you reckon? We've got like kind of 8 minutes left, so we're doing good for time. But like, kind of last question from my side is like, how do you think like this is going to affect, like, economy wise, not just in Australia but kind of the UK, for kind of the sectors obviously that you work in and things like that?
To be honest, it's going to be very interesting once they start opening things up, and I think there's a lot of hope for especially us, like working as in the fitness industry. But I think we're going to be the last to open. And I think also we should be, even though obviously you want to get back to work, you want to get cracking again. It's just not smart for the rest of the population to be doing that. So moving on to, I think a lot of people have opened up to see that you can actually work at home for a lot of things. Obviously, like, personal training is a very difficult one because you need that face-to-face contact, you need that motivating side. I've done a couple of Zoom sessions with people. Obviously, time difference is a bit of a nightmare, but it doesn't connect the same, doesn't compute the same. But also, I think especially like in central London and a lot of those like office buildings, I think people are going to realise that actually we can function pretty damn well from home, which should open up a lot more space, more business. It will bump up again at some point. But it's going to take a little bit of time for adjustment, which is, pretty self-explanatory. But the economy side of things is going to be interesting. I think we're going to suffer quite badly, but it does give it a good opportunity for that younger generation to jump in, especially like property-wise, for example. No one's going to be filling these properties now. Heaps of people, everyone's a bit short of cash at the moment. So if anyone's got savings set up, it's a perfect time for the younger people to get on a property ladder, which you wouldn't have been able to do before. Like, there are opportunities out of this carnage all over the place. It's just you've got to be able to look for them and not get drowned in the madness.
Smart moving.
Yeah.
Madness.
Now we have time.
5 minutes.
So I'll ask you: have you guys? What are your thoughts on this whole setup? I want to hear your side of things.
Drew, talk about obviously your thoughts, but also your work as well, because that's a big thing, like the gyms.
Yeah. I don't really. I work for a tourist attraction. I work for Warner Brothers.
Oh, nice.
The Harry Potter tour.
Yeah.
And obviously we have thousands of people in every day. Thousands and thousands of people in every day. I don't know, even if we were to open up, whether people would want to come. I don't think we'd. People aren't going to just, as soon as, I feel like there's a mixing things with generations here. Like, even if you were to say just lift lockdown, I know it's obviously not going to happen. People still ain't just going to start running out and doing things. I'm a very, very social guy. I mean, I've hated not seeing my friends. Like, it's been crap. And I'm glad I've got this, so I can actually see and speak to people face to face, because it's that human interaction that I love, and I just enjoy. And that's why I love my job so much, because it's just, you meet different people every day. I'm meeting people from all different sides of the world who are coming over, who all love Harry Potter, and it's really cool, and I enjoy it a lot. But there isn't, I don't think there's any, it's going to get back to what it was anytime soon, which is what it is. It's worrying, but I think they mentioned today that they're extending the lockdown, or the furlough till October. And to be honest with you, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do or what they're going to say, but I don't know if they would open. I don't even know if they would open. I think that's probably the earliest we would open is October.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think you'd be quite surprised by how many people would jump on and start coming out and doing normal things. Because once a lot of people just have faith in what the government say. If they say it's okay, they'll be like, "Yep, sweet, straight in." Or they do the opposite, and if the government says it's not okay, it's bullshit, and go anyway.
Yeah. I'm literally the same as Drew. I think it's, I think the government saying that they're willing to kind of operate it until October is a big thing in terms of showing, maybe, look, no one knows, and this is the thing, there's no kind of right or wrong way, because we've never had to deal with this, and we're trying to look at the science to actually pursue what this next thing is. It's a guessing game. Like, it is, do a bit of this, does it rise? Yeah, okay, we'll put it back down again. Try this. Does that work? Nope. Okay, right, back to the drawing board. It's consistently like that.
Yeah.
So
there's no rule book for this. Like one's read, no one's prepared, no one understands it. I think that shows in how the government's dealing with it.
Yeah.
But that people don't understand that that's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that they should just
wrong.
have. Yeah, everyone expects they should have the answers, but it's an impossible thing here. Like, so much expectation.
So Drew, back over to you, mate, because I know you were about to ask a question before.
It was just a quick one to say. Just a quick one to say. We've asked most of our guests who have come on what was their top tip for getting through lockdown. Not necessarily coronavirus, because I don't think there's many tips you can give for that. Top tips on how to get through coronavirus, but just top tip on surviving lockdown.
You got 2 minutes.
Wash your hands and brush your teeth.
It's simple.
Yeah, but no, it's to be fair, interact with your mates as much as possible. Well, I've set up with my friend group from home. I just did a what's it called, like a pub quiz. We were doing it every week on the spot, one night a week. If some people get boozy, obviously it's difficult with me because I'm in a different time zone, but it's just a bit of random fun, so you still have that interaction to some respects, and it's a good time to connect with people that you wouldn't normally have time to do so. So make the most of it.
At 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Exactly. But spend time. You've got time to spend with your family. We don't have this kind of time period ever. You have time to read. You have time to practice new stuff that you wouldn't have time to do outside of that. So just be busy. There's so much stuff for you to do and experience now while you've got the time. Make the most of it.
Spot on. Right, I reckon that's pretty much time.
Yeah,
right, lovely.
1 minute.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Mate, thank you. I appreciate you getting up early as well.
Thank you very much.
And coming on. So super appreciated.
Enjoy your day in sunny Australia.
What's your Instagram? Give them a shout out on your business Instagram as well.
So I've got my Instagram is Brandon_Plumb, and then my Instagram for my PT stuff is Ethos_Conditioning.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is where you want to go and follow.
Love that.
Cool. All right, then, Brandon.
Cheers, Brandon.
Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers,
and
keep well,
stay
keep
safe. Hope you see you soon at home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cheers, boys.
Take it easy.
See ya.
Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
You know.